Welcome to this tutorial on Here-Strings in PowerShell. Here-Strings are a powerful feature that allows you to work with multi-line text blocks efficiently. In this video, you'll learn how to use the @ single quote and @ double quote syntax to define multi-line strings while preserving their formatting. This is an essential skill for anyone working with scripts, queries, or formatted text in PowerShell. Here-strings are a special string syntax in PowerShell designed specifically for defining multi-line text blocks that preserve formatting. They automatically preserve line breaks and indentation exactly as you type them. This means you can span multiple lines without using concatenation operators or escape characters. Here-strings are particularly useful when you need to work with scripts, SQL queries, JSON data, or any formatted text where maintaining the original structure is important. Let's look at the basic syntax of a here-string. You start with a variable assignment, followed by the @ and single quote on the same line. Then you press Enter to begin your multi-line content. The text can span as many lines as you need, and all formatting is preserved exactly as written. Finally, you close the here-string with single quote and @ on its own line. Notice how the opening delimiter @ single quote must be at the end of a line, and the closing delimiter single quote @ must be at the beginning of a new line. Expandable here-strings use the @ double quote syntax. The key feature of expandable here-strings is that variables and expressions inside them are evaluated and replaced with their actual values. In this example, the variable $sign name will be replaced with Alice, and the expression $sign open parenthesis get -date will execute and insert the current day of the week. This is perfect when you need to dynamically generate text that includes variable values or command results. Literal here-strings use the @ single quote syntax. Unlike expandable here-strings, literal here-strings treat everything as literal text with no variable expansion. Even though we define $sign name as Alice before the here-string, when we use $sign name inside the literal here-string, it stays as $sign name and does not expand to Alice. This is extremely useful when you need to preserve exact text, such as when writing scripts that contain $signs, or when you're defining template strings that will be processed later. There are 3 critical syntax rules you must follow when working with here-strings. First, the opening delimiter must be at the end of a line with nothing after it. Second, the closing delimiter must be at the beginning of a line with nothing before it. And third, no spaces are allowed before the closing delimiter. Violating any of these rules will cause PowerShell to throw a syntax error. These rules ensure that PowerShell can correctly identify where your multi-line string begins and ends. Here's a practical example showing how here-strings make SQL queries more readable and maintainable. Instead of cramming your entire SQL query onto one line or using multiple string concatenations, you can write it naturally across multiple lines. The query selects first name, last name, and email from the customer's table, filters for customers in the USA who are active, and orders the results by last name. This expandable here-string allows you to include variables if needed, and the formatted query can be passed directly to the invoke-SQL CMDlet. Let's review the key takeaways. The @ double quote @ syntax creates expandable here-strings that evaluate variables and expressions. The @ single quote @ syntax creates literal here-strings that treat everything as plain text. Remember that delimiters must always be on their own lines with no extra characters. Here-strings are perfect for working with scripts, database queries, configuration files, and any formatted text where structure matters. Mastering here-strings will make your PowerShell code cleaner, more readable, and easier to maintain.
If you like this video, hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe. Visit codelucky.com for more such useful content.